7. Diverge origins at 5, and then the ages of conflict, union, and division are all at 1. Draw power is at max 15,000. Age intensity is at max 20, and age length is at 50. These are our nations. We have several. So let's start with the Red Nation Classic, Istanbul. They are a Buddhist nation. They're an expansion of Flatlander. Then we have Anatolia. They are another old nation. They are led by this guy. They're actually the Hill Dweller. The Caucasians, who are zealous Flatlanders, who are Taoists. Mesopotamians, who are led by a goofy goober, who are divisive and mountaineers, who are Christian. Then we have Cyprus, which is the world power, led by Suleiman, with an expansion of Flatlander. He's also a Christian. We have Red Arabia, led by a guy named Yusuf. He is a divisive Flatlander. We have Ethiopia, the zealous hill dweller. And then, last but not least, Central Ethiopia, who is the zealous mountaineer. So, now there is an alliance map, which I will show off in a second. I will show it off for you all now. So, these are the alliances. Cyprus is aligned with Anatolia, as well as Mesopotamia, and Red Arabia. The two Ethiopias are aligned. Istanbul is aligned with no one, nor is Caucasian. Additionally, so these two are aligned. So basically, the alliance of what I like to call the Meso-Arabian Union is led by these three members: Mesopotamia, Cyprus, and Red Arabia, and Anatolia with it. And then there's 2 wars so far. One war ended. That was the finale of last episode. I won't spoil it. And there's Istanbul. They are at war with Anatolia, and Cyprus is helping them. So, Mesopotamia will move, a new nation will form. The question is where? So, Mesopotamia was founded because a bunch of Anatolians, so Anatolians want to send explorers, right? They didn't have enough money. So Cyprus offered to pay, and they did. So that's why Mesopotamia got founded. Now, Mesopotamia is sending some troops out. So, they know about this, and they figure, well, there's no point in sending out the following year. Then, they go down, right? Then, they go dark around here. In the middle of the desert, which I'm assuming is a desert. So they assume that, as it turns out, they start moving, and they eventually settle here and here. So there's 2 areas, right? One settles in the UAE area, one settles in Qatar, and they will form the United East Arabs. And since they came from Mesopotamia, their color will be this. So the Qatari part will take all of this. And then they will start moving. This is their province in the UAE. They will also control this island that I think Iran owns. They'll have all these small islands, small portion of southern Iran. All this. And that's all they have for now. No one knows their existence. All the Mesopotamia thinks they're dead. Similarly, so basically, during a war that was fought, Cyprians, a bunch of people went down the Nile because the Cyprians, so Cyprus came, because basically Libya exists, right? So Libya used to exist like around here, like right here I think was the border, and they founded Egypt, and this is why the city is named after the Libyan leader who helped pay for the founding of Egypt. Then these two unite, and this fort was built to make sure their trade line was safe, right? So these two unify. Cyprus was formed here. Then they got a bunch of land near Israel and stuff. Then they unified with the Libyans, forming this empire you see now. So that's why Cyprus, despite initially starting out here, controls all this. Istanbul formed here. They took over, they unified with the Albanian state that existed here. Anyways, that's enough. Let's get back to it. Large expand. Here's what happens. The Turks will spend an insane amount of time conquering this area. They will make it to this lake and will capture its entirety. This is a major blow to their water. And at this point, Anatolia is going to have to fight back. Meanwhile, Cyprus will make a move. Cyprus will get medium expand. So, they can do one of two things. To counter A, push, but that's pointless because this fort highly fortified. In fact, these two are shocked, so they will use their manpower to create a supply line. The Turks do not know about this. I mean, they think there could be, but right now they don't know. And then, right, what's left, they decide to send in. So these guys formalize a trade agreement. Once it's happening, they will start moving down. So, they find this flat area, and then they will start moving, slowly but surely. Why are they moving? The answer is simple. Rumors have been heard that there is a civilization in Ethiopia. They will meet up at the border, and they are completely unaware. So unaware. They see maybe a few tents on maybe abandoned tents. So then they decide, for now, let's put a hold on that. Let's go explore from the Nile. So they will continue pushing into the Nile. They will make it right here. And then they will be eventually forced to stop right here. So, basically, the Cypriots sent guys, right? They went down the Nile, and then they found this area. So basically, they did. So basically, the Cypriots think the Ethiopians, the people who went down here, are dead. They think they've been dead for a while. I think 20 turns. So, given this, and the reason why the second state is this is to fool any Cypriot explorers into thinking, oh, so that way their government can retreat here, but now that cover's been blown, so now they're worried the Cypriotians, people from Cyprus, might be aware. They don't want that happening. In the meantime, while this is happening, Central Ethiopia will do something. Now, Ethiopia can do anything. They can either A, attack, but if they do, the Cypriots have way more firepower. So they will start moving near this river and get all of it. They hope that they will then. This move will make the Ethiopians angry. The whole reason this exists is to ensure that no one knows Ethiopia's existence. So Ethiopia will form a new nation. So their government will flee. They will flee to down here and form Sudan. South Sudan. They will form this right here. Only because they need to protect their government. So they form it. South Sudan is formed right here. They will be dark green. And then they will form right here. They will take all this river area. No one knows about this existence aside from the Ethiopians. They are conquerors and hill dwellers of Hyperiosus. So now, Mesopotamia will start their marching. They will get a small expand. They will go to this lake. They will not meet up yet. As you can see, the symbol of Socialist Nation, this symbol will move a new leader. So the current leader, so basically, he dies, we'll just say. These are their tolerant hill dwellers. So, maybe they'll sign peace. Perhaps they might. For now, a new nation is formed. So, Turks can't go north because the explanation is, let's just say that this area is too dangerous. They can't risk it. So, they can do one thing. They can either A, make a civilization here, which they could. Or, alternatively, they decide to do something very risky. So they send one of their spies down to Egypt, right? So their spy goes down here. They keep going until they find Ethiopia. On Ethiopia, they find their fort, and they're like, how about we give you an alliance? The Ethiopians know that the Turks are not friends with the Cypriots. So as a result, now this new leader is not nice leader. The old leader was, this one is not the new leader of Turkey. So as a result, you'll have to accept this deal. and what becomes known as Turkish, we will say Turkish Ethiopia will be formed. This is, if you will, this is like, if you will, like a trade agreement, if you will. So, it's formed right here. This is mostly for safety. So, basically, the Turkish military will defend this area from any Cyprians. Cyprians, they still don't know about the Ethiopians. I mean, they suspect there might be something happening here. They suspect it, but not essentially. Like, they don't know these guys exist. Cyprus is still led by Suleiman. They will adopt a religion now. These guys, along with Christian, the only four religions that exist right now are, we have Buddhism in Turkey, or Istanbul. They are the oldest, Christianity oldest, I think, yeah. Christianity, which is just a Cypresian as well as Mesopotamian religion. Taoism, which only exists in Caucasia, and that is it. So, the only nation they border that follows the religion that they grew up in is Christianity, and so they basically reform that. And what that means is this will ensure that these two have closer ties. Then Ethiopia will march, small expand. So they will march down to the south. Keep moving. Meanwhile, Yemen. So Yemen barely exists. Yemen will unite. Question is with who? The answer is simple. Yemen can't unite. Yemen is crippled, basically. So Yemen fought a war with Cyprus. Yemen lost. The only reason why Yemen exists is because, quite simply, because the Cyprians forgot to mop up that one cell. So for context, Yemen is like roughly here. They founded these two forts you see, Fort North Red and Fort Red. This was the forts of desperation. They made these three forts. And basically what happened was the Yemenis got to like here. A rebellion broke out called Red Arabia. This is Red Arabia, as you can see, right? So as you can see, it comes from Yemen. So the Red Arabians told the Cyprians about the Yemenis, and the Cyprians know they need naval control. If they control this area, then Yemen can make them pay and stuff. You get the point. Cyprus does not want to pay that. So the Cyprians in Red Arabia launch a simultaneous assault on Yemen, and after years of combat, the Yemenis lose and are annexed. However, during the fighting, a small, albeit absurdly small cell just barely remains. So that's the reason why Yemen still exists. But the actual reason is because I missed a pixel. So we're just gonna have Cyprus deal with this. Perfect. So becomes Cyprus unite with Yemen. Just kidding, we're not gonna do it yet. So the question is, what does Yemen do? They can either A, unite with Anatolia. So let's go over what they can do. They can unite with Mesopotamia. And this is good because they are close. So they unite with Mesopotamia. Cyprus is now even stronger. Cyprus with that small expand. They use this to link up, first off. Second of all, it will wipe out the Yemen cell left. That's the last cell of Yemen existing. They will then march across this river and find out this nation is real. As a result, they will start marching into the north, trying to ensure it does not exist. Meanwhile, the Ethiopian government finds out, and they will start marching down the south. Remember, Cyprus finds out, they will be annexed by Cyprus. Cyprus will attack them. Meanwhile, Istanbul decides to go. They will do a meeting expand. So, they agree to a peace with Anatolia, but they will slam into their position. They will surprise it, landing on Cyprus, securing Cyprian capital. This move will heavily weaken the Cyprian government. So as a result, Cyprus built a castle right here. This castle is known as Fort Retribution. This will allow them to hold off the Turks for the time being. The Cyprians will then launch an assault and re-secure Cyprus for themselves. This is a major victory. And then they will then land and make a land on it, cutting off these troops. Turkey will then try to reinforce them, and they are fairly successful. They will then move along and secure this fort. This is a major blow. These two are now at war. Small expand for them. They will secure this fort. Turkey will move out. They will get being expanded as well. As you can see, just constant back and forth. Cyprus marches again. Turks. Turks get a new leader. An expansionist. As a result, he will curb stomp and cut off any Cypressian positions. He will then use his advantage as an expansionist. He will then reinvigorate the war with Anatolia. He keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. The reason why is because the Anatolians had not reinforced the area. So as a result, they will be gargantuan, nearly obliterating the Anatolian government. Neighbors will move. The also expansions won't expand. So it will create minor areas. They will get this region not be able to push any further. Turks have this area on lockdown. Turks have this river, and everything west of this river is under heavy Turkish military control. So they try to push this past. They try to push past this. They're dead, so they don't. Instead, they will get roughly on this river because they are forming a major army across the river. When? Soon. They don't know when, but they will cross it. Their plan is to hit when the Turkish army is more distracted when they already are, because the Turks are busy right now. They only march across that area because they got a small gap. But aside from that, they will make gains up until here. They will then start, as you can see. So this is a new border. So Turks plan on assaulting in a second, but now they decide to knock out Anatolia while they can. So the Anatolian government is no more. This will, as a result, allow them to slam the Cyprians. Cyprians were not expecting the Turks to assault that quickly. They will form a fort, and they will call this the capital defense. Capital defensive. So their capital, now Nicosia is technically their capital, but I mean that's only their capital but name. Their real capital is Suleiman City, named after the current leader, Suleiman, right? And they will have a split. The reason why this happens is quite simple. Here's why this happens. So, basically, a lot of people like Suleiman, right? They like him. But here's the problem. They know that, in their opinion, the Cypriots are getting into too many wars, they don't support it. So as a result, a large coalition breaks out. This coalition will be the Yemenis. So basically, Yemen will reassert itself, and they will call themselves Second Yemeni Republic, and they will obliterate the Cyprians. That's their goal: eliminate the Cyprians at all costs. So they will seize all of this. The Red Arabians require extensive aid, military aid. So this will cripple the Cyprians to a major extent. So Cretans are on the way out. This isn't the end for them, obviously, but this is sparking a new era in the world, if you will. After an insane period of Cypriotian domination, their time for victory might be over. Start moving and moving and moving. And some of the government in this southern area, they will agree with them. And that's for a reason why they're making so many military gains. They will seize all of this Nile region, which is a major blow to their economy. This is like a major blow. Because think about it. Most of their money comes from the Nile and controlling the Red Sea access. But since they don't anymore, well, you know. So they will seize this area, which is their main access to Sinai. As you can see, they're basically being crippled right now. They will then rapidly march. They will secure Campus City. This city has been under Cypriotic control for a long time, but today it falls. This is a major, I've said it once, but I'm going to say it one more time, this is a gargantuan blow to Cypriotian odds of victory. So they will then use left of their army to obliterate the Cypriots in the Red Sea area. This move practically ends Cypriotian odds of securing anything at this point. And Cypriotians will move to Sinai until eventually Cypriotians, of course, make an expansion. They're going to large expand. What do they do with this? Well, they can do one thing. They can either A, attack the Turks, or rapidly secure this area. Their plan is simple: eliminate as much of the Yemeni's army as they can. While this is happening, Turks will start moving about their religion. Now, this is a major event. The Turks have been at this point chosen. At this point, they have been in a battle between the Jews 4 or 5 times. Because first they were Judaists, then they were Muslim, then they were what was it? There were 2 other things I forgot already, and then they became Buddhists. So rather than choosing their religion, at this point, the Turkish church is getting used to being Buddhist, because they were in a lot of turmoil before this. So Turkey will decide to make pushes, because they know Cyprus cannot respond to this. So as a result, they will try to cripple Cyprus by reassaulting. They will then start pushing further. Cyprus will desperately try to defend their area. The question is, who do they push? Do they attack Turkey, or do they go they resupply their troops who are surrounded, first off. They then debate whether or not to attack or go up to Cyprus. They have to get Cyprus, obviously. They will then start to make massive push into Yemen. Because they need to control that trade route. If they lose the trade route, they're done. They will secure all of the cyanide. Take these islands, they will start making gains. Yemen will respond immediately, and this will severely weaken further. At this point, Cypriotians are starting to weaken. They have barely any naval access. Origin diverged. So now, Yemenis are formally claiming that they are not rebel at all. This move angers the Cypriotians. Now, they can unite. Who do they unite with? Let's see. If they unite with the Yemenis, which would be highly advantageous, they will single-handedly make your current empire. The question is, do they? They can't unite with Turkey, because Turkey hates them. Turkey wants to see them gone. Think about it. Turkey knows that if they secure this area, they take all this, they're going to win. Because all you need, they need to get all Centaur's land. They've been wanting Libya and Egypt for a while. Cypriots were so powerful. And Istanbul is not going to convert to Christianity. They're not. They refuse. They also know that they can't let the Cypriotians boss them around. They hate this guy. So they hate him. Asians, they don't even care what's happening. I mean, they don't even border anyone. So they don't care at all what's happening. They're Taoists. They don't even follow any of the two major religions. So they could unite, right? They could unite hypothetically with the Red Arabians. If they do, this would give them a vital port. But the thing is, Red Arabians don't exactly want to be at war with two major powers. Yemen obviously unite with them. I mean, Yemen literally just declared that they're not Cypriot in any capacity. So as a result, Suleiman's offer of uniting with anyone fails miserably. Cyprus, a bit small expand though, deciding to use this opportunity to try to resecure the Red Sea, and they will to an extent. They will another union, but once again, fortunately for him, they will get a medium expand. Their plan is simple, because the Yemenis, they are at this point realizing if we attack this many times, we're gonna be pushed back. They will build a castle. My question is where? They decide to build it right here. Nile Mouth, this is called. Because they need to hold this. If they do not hold this fort, they're done. So as a result, the second Yemeni Republic will seize it. Will siege it. So, the area of the fort is this. This is the area of the fort, right? Yemen wants to secure the area surrounding it. So given this, they decide to do this. They will surround the entire area, and over time, slowly but surely siege it. So Cyprus will desperately try to, and Cyprus gets a new nation. So, what happened is simple. The Turks fund a mass insurgency in North Africa. So as a result, it becomes known as the North African Republic rises up. This is funded by Turkey. Because the Turks notice. They know that Cypriots are busy, but they don't want to attack Cypriots much right now. Because they're worried that if the Cypriots manage to win this war, Cypriots will be rapidly able to respond. Because Cypriots still have troops up here. Remember, they were nearly pushed into, and they tried taking Nicasia. Like, their capital got taken over, like, cultural capital, if you will, got taken over twice. Like, your official capital is this, it's like their capital is like their cultural capital, like their historic. So, like, kind of like how America, like, major city, like, in terms of, like, administrative, like, when it comes to, like, overall importance, would be, like, New York City. It's not their official capital. But, like, culturally, their capital is D.C., but realistically, it should be New York. Kind of like how this nation's capital is Nicasia, by a technicality. So, like, that's kind of what I'm going for. But anyways, this republic is formed, and they will be given a pinkish color because they are from the Turks. So, they will, I won't be able to take over all the area, unfortunately, but they will make gains. Impressive gains, to be fair. Especially, these are isolationists. They will want a castle, and they will call this area Western. This is mostly to ensure that these Cypriots cannot push into them. So Cyprus will decide to make the counter A, move into the Nile Fortress, which is risky. If they take it, they're going to lose a ton of manpower, or they could try to take over Turkey. Now here's the thing. They could land in Crete. If they do land in Crete, this could single-handedly turn the war, because, here's the thing. They cut up this area, all of the eastern Turkish army is cut up. So they decide to do an extremely risky move, try to take Crete. They will be unsuccessful as the Turks have been able to hold on. The Turks will then respond in kind, slamming. This move will, well, the Turks make a beachhead. The Cretians will desperate. Really? Alright. The Cypriots will desperately, but weakly, try to make a fix. They will call this Fort Cyprus. Fort Nicasia to be a better word. They lose Nicasia, and they're done. Turks will fight on. Large expand. Turks lose a ton of manpower, but they hold the city. They secure Nicasia for themselves. They will then start making land. They secure Fort Friendship. They take the vital city. They will then cut off all entry points to the Nile. They will then lay siege to fully main city, securing it. The Friedens are at this point crippled. So, what can you do? If you're Cypriotian, what could you do? You could try to take this fort. But it's at risk. So, what remains of the Cypriotian army does one last suicide landing in Crete. They only secure part of it. The Turks, as I was saying, the Turks get new leader. They get new leader again. There's that. So at this point, Suleiman, if you can tell, it's not to get unpopular. But what insane amount is happening with all the Turks changing leaders? This is because, so basically, what happened was a bunch of the leaders, so they resigned because they were worried that Cyprus was going to make gains. So they will secure Fort Friendship. They will then start to re-secure this area. They will get re-secure the capital area. Well, that's not their capital, but you know, they will take over the Egyptian, Turkish beachhead. They will then start moving, re-secure the capital. They will then start moving into Nicasia, but they will be unsuccessful. The Turks could forget their new leader somehow. New nation is. This guy is peaceful. It's not wanting more war. So, Turkish army decides to do one aspect. Here's the Turkish army. They decide that they need to get Crete and Cyprus under full control in order to make a peace treaty amicable. In other words, they want to dominate this area. This is understandable, may I add, because think about it. They're holding this area. These are this is a major outpost for Cyprus. If they take this, Cyprus is done. So their plan is simple: take all of this coastal area, or at least get some of it. Get Crete, and they can get them a capital. Then they will accept peace. Meanwhile, the Caucasians decide to send out some explorers. They find the Caspian Sea as an eastern area, so they will allow for the nation of Caspia to form. Now, I figured I'd mention this by the way, but Anatolians were the ones who founded the Asia, but the Cypriots were the ones who paid for it, like paid for their like money, like food and stuff. So the Cypriots funded it, like invested in it, but the Anatolians were going to propose it. So the explorers who founded this Caucasian civilization you see right now, they were Anatolians. So they would speak Anatolia's language, which is being suppressed right now by the Turks. The Age of Division. A new nation forms. So the question is where? So, almost every country, right? Every country right now is in crippling war. At least the two major countries in the world are crippling war. Cyprus is being attacked on 1, 2, 3 fronts. The Turks are in a 2-front war right now. The Yemenis are at war on a 1-front war, but they could technically at war with the Red Arabians to an extent. So, where does the nation form? Well, in the chaos, right? The people from former Mesopotamians, who are at this point under Cypriot control, are getting tired and sick and tired of being in Cypriot control. So, they rebel from the Cypriot government, and they will form an incredibly small country called Kuwait. So, Kuwait is small, obviously. They can't really do much because they don't expect the Cypriots to respond, obviously, because the Cypriots are it's not a fun time for Cypriots to say the least. And at this point, Cypriotia is trying to get just a bit tired of swimming. He's been reigning for his entire nation's history, I think, nearly all of it. The capital's named after him, but at this point, it's not a good one. They've lost 10,000 pieces of land in their major complex. So given this, the Cypriotians are, don't get me wrong, they like him. They like to live, but they want to replace him. But in the meantime, Kuwait is expansion hill drops. So now, the Cypriotians they get a large expansion. So what did Cypriotians do? Could take Cyprus, and that's what they did. They want to hold the area. Don't forget, they hold that area. That's like their cultural capital. I think I mentioned several times that they need this area. So they will then decide to risk land, and they will seize these islands and then start a beachhead into southern Anatolia. This move shocks the Turks. They did not expect to push. They will take war retribution. They will then start making an attack. But the Turks will have a small split. Now, where is this split? Well, the answer is in Anatolia. Yes, that's right. Anatolia reforms. So Anatolia is founded. And this nation is back. Despite the Turks trying to suppress them, they have failed. Anatolians are back. The Turks tried desperately. The Anatolians are like the Kurds, if you will. The Kurds in real life were like, so parts of their alphabet were really banned, like certain letters were banned in Turkey to suppress their language. The Anatolians are like the Kurds in this timeline. Basically, they got taken over by their bigger neighbor, and they want to get independent. Turks will get a new leader. See what Cyprus gets. Cyprus finally gets a new leader. Suleiman is either A, killed in battle, because he is a general to an extent. I mean, obviously he was the main one who fought in this area. So he probably got killed, I imagine. Probably accidentally by some Anatolians. Or he got deposed forcefully, which I don't think they would. People respect him, but if I make him resign, they wouldn't kill him. So Cyprus is led by a conqueror who's a mountaineer. So Cyprus is a small split. This is unfortunate because you do not want this to happen. You don't want to enter a major war like this. The question is where. This will form in the rest of Egypt. Now, the government, the army still exists in Nile Map Fortress, but at this point, they're crippled, obviously. They're barely surviving. So, Egypt forms, and this will practically end any chance of Cypriots being able to resupply their men. Because they take over nearly all of North Africa, and this practically ends the North African feud. And then, the Yemenis build a castle. They build this castle, right? They will call it. So where they build it, well, the answer is simple. They will build it right here, and they will call it Fort South. Now, the first two of these forts kind of by the classic human government. So, you'll get a new leader, and they will then get a small split, unfortunately. But here is the thing. You see, in exchange for agreeing to leave Yemen, in exchange for this, so basically, the Yemen government would convince the rebels not to go to war. They convinced them not to. So as a result, the rebels decide not to attack. The Yemenis are safe for now. So then they will secure the landing. This is a vital securement. Without this, they're weak, but they take it. They will then secure Fort Bread. They then begin to move. The question is where? You're Yemen. You're from Yemen. Where do you move? So, you can either A, attack Red Arabia, which you're traumatizing Red Arabia. So, initially think it's a good idea, right? Think about it. They control all this. This is a good amount of land. But, who's a bigger threat? Cyprus, who is at this point starting to collapse, or Red Arabians. So, their plan is simple. Secure the remainder of this little area, then they will start attacking the Red Arabians. Because they know the Red Arabians will attack them the moment they can. These two hate each other. The Red Arabians hate Yemen, and they hate each other. So, they will secure this fort. The Red Arabians did not expect a Yemen push when they were still at war with Cyprus. So, it remains the Turks and they will be split. So, the question is, does this split hold? The answer is a mix of both. So, Central Anatolia, this split is a success. They initially, a smaller group formed in Greece, but the Turks were able to eliminate that. So, in exchange for independence, right, because the Central Anatolian Republic will rise up. Central Anatolian Republic. This nation is sort of like the Anatolian government you know of, this one you see here, but this one is more aligned to the Turks. And the reason why is quite simple. You see, the Turks don't mind them as much as they do these Anatolians, because these ones were in lands the Turks control. These control their core lands, so they respect these guys. They will take all these islands, and they will then be allowed to take all this too. The Turks at this point don't really care, because the Turks would rather win against Cyprus and hold all that land than they would be forced to surrender a bit of Anatolia. So as a result, is a new border of the Anatolian Republic. And now the Turks will hopefully be able to move out. Okay, whatever. I'm waiting for the Turks to move. Give them a minute. Okay, come on. Really? This is like the funny part of the video. Okay, great. So a new nation is formed, and the Turks found it in northern Anatolia. This is definitely, we all know why. This is obviously because they want to, annoy. It's obviously because they want to annoy the Anatolian government. I mean, this is obvious. The Turks despise the Anatolians. Not these ones. They don't like these ones. They don't mind them as much as these. These guys have an infernal hatred. These two are like arch enemies. Like, You fought Turkey. You fought the Istanbul Cyprus. You fought Istanbul Cyprus robbery was bad. This is like 20 times worse than that. It's like the Turks and the Kurds. They both hate each other. Unsurprisingly, the Turks just want to obliterate the Anatolians without chance they can get. So Northern Anatolia forms, and this nation only exists to be annoying. That's the only reason why it exists. Purely because of sheer malice and hatred. Finally, Turks will make moves. After a while of waiting, quite unnecessary waiting in my opinion, they will gain. They will secure Cyprus. They will take these islands. Take these. Take this. They will then march on to Cyprus, secure part of the island. Ignore that. The Turks will... Okay. Turks will build a fort. The question is where. So they can build it here, build it on Crete, or they build it here. They make a fort known as West Cyprus. This only exists to help hold the Turkish beachhead. So the Turks will then move. Turks have a new leader. Finally, Turks have won. Cyprus has been officially under Turkish control for the first time in forever. They'll continue to make massive gains along this area until Cyprus is forced to finally surrender to the Turks. Finally, after an insanely long period of nearly, I don't know, maybe I think even 100 turns, constant brutal war, Turkish-Cypriotian War is over. Turks will then march into some of this land. The Anatolians are annoyed. The Central Anatolians, I just said. No, wait, hold on. The West Anatolians are angered, but at this point, what can they do? So at this point, it is down to Cyprus. Cyprus is basically crippled. There's going to be split. And at this point, if you're Cypriot, most Cypriots at this point hate the government. They're angry at the government. So as a result, Cyanide, nation of Cyanide. This nation rises mostly partially because they were funded. I mean, the Yemenis were funded them, obviously. The less army they got to deal, less hostile army they got to put up, the better for them. They will build a castle to ensure their safety. They will call it Northern Sinai. Then they will continue to make pushes. Initially they have a small split, but the Yemen government puts that down. They send in their troops to the Sinai, start making gains. Until, finally, the coalition against Cyprus will secure Cyprian capital. This move basically ends what remains of Cyprus. Cyprus is, at this point, a lost cause. So, finally, the leader, Ahmed, the second leader of Cyprus, formally surrendered to the coalition. Said coalition consists of the following nations. So this is the coalition that formed the anti-Cypriot forces. Istanbul, led by Said. The North African Republic. Egypt. Second Yemeni Republic. Kuwait. And that is it. In Sinai. The nations that formed the pro-Cyprus coalition were the Anatolians, said, the largest war in this entire series of history is formally over. Cyprus at this point a full nation, and to further put embarrassment in what has happened to the Cypriotian government, they have been forced to adopt Buddhism, the religion of Istanbul. They've been forced to abandon Christianity. They've been forced to reconvert their churches. And then, to rub even more salt on the wound, what remains of Cyprus encounters yet another gargantuan split, and this will occur. It becomes known as Central Mesopotamia. And at this point, I mean, if you're Cypriotian, you know it's over for you. I mean, your nation has lost the largest coalition ever formed, which admittedly isn't saying that much because only 2 wars, but still. Your nation has lost war after your nation has lost a massive war. And even worse, another split. Ooh. I mean, honestly, if you're a Cypriotian, I don't even know what to tell you. I mean, and then Cyprus will be once again forced to sign the treaty just to ensure, since their government is substantially weaker, then they will unite. Who? The answer is no. No one wants to unite with Cyprus. That's how weak Cyprus is. They're that crippled. The remains of Cyprus is basically now a buffer state between the great powers of the Middle East. Now, in terms of the power rankings, frankly, the power rankings are, I don't even know at this point. In general, though, the most powerful nation is Istanbul by far. They are at this point, let me just double check. Yeah, at this point, the largest nation, encompassing practically all of the Greek peninsula, most of Western Anatolia, Cyprus, southern Turkey, after all that. And they're also the most militarily powerful nation. Second to that would probably be Yemen, the Second Yemeni Republic, who are, at this point, they have a gargantuan military, second largest nation on the map. And they have defeated their 2 major enemies, Cyprus and the Red Arabians, in battle. They've resecured their forts. At this point, if you're Yemen, if you're from Yemen, then you're happy. That's for sure. So, in order to ensure that their front lines are protected, they're going to go do 2 more turns. To ensure that their nation is defended, they will build what becomes known as Border Fort, named after the border. I know. So, the Yemenis will then restart their war because no one can stop them. I mean, the Cypriotians, who are a major aid to the Arabians, they can't stop them. The Arabians are, at this point, impossible. I mean, to put it simply, the Red Arabians are doomed, no matter what. Even if their army is powerful, the Yemenis are always going to win, no matter what. So as a result, the Yemenis army will basically be able to march in. The Yemenis army will basically be able to march in to the Red Arabians. And so, the final turn of the video, skip last. And finally, alright, we'll go to 180. And then, as the final thing happens. And for the, as the final move of the video, Second Yemeni Republic will formally renounce Cypriot and Christianity and will instead be Buddhist, like Istanbul. So, that being said, I hope you all enjoyed episode